Chapter 14. Sorry, there's a helicopter in the studio. Chapter 14. Dorothy tries to be brave. Meantime, the chief steward had returned to the throne room, where he said to the king, "You are a fool to waste so much time upon these people." "What?" cried his majesty, in so enraged a voice that it awoke Bellina, who was asleep under his throne. "How dare you call me a fool? Because I like to speak the truth. You are fool to waste so much time on these people." "Why," said the steward, "why didn't you enchant them all at once, instead of allowing them to go one by one into the palace and guess which ornaments are the Queen of Ev and her children?" "Why, you stupid rascal, it is way more fun this way," returned the king, "and it serves to keep me amused for a long time." "But suppose some of them happen to guess all right," persisted the steward. "Then you would lose your own ornaments and these new ones too." "Well, there is no chance of them guessing all right," replied the monarch with a laugh. "How could they know that the Queen of Ev and her family are all ornaments of a royal purple color?" "But there are no other purple ornaments in the place," said the steward. "There are many other colors, however. The purple ones are scattered throughout the rooms, and there are very many different shapes and sizes. Take my word for it, steward, they would never think of choosing the purple ornaments." Bellina, squatting under the throne, had listened carefully to all this talk, and now chuckled softly to herself as she heard the king disclose his secret. "Still, you are acting foolishly by running a chance," continued the steward roughly. "It is still more foolish for you to transform all those people from Oz into green ornaments." "I did that because they came from the Emerald City," replied the king. "I had no green ornaments in my collection until now. I think they would look quite pretty mixed with the others, don't you?" The steward gave an angry grunt. "Have it your way, since you're the king. But if you come to grief through your carelessness, remember I told you so. If I wore a magic belt which enables you to work all your transformations, and gives you so much other power, I am sure I would make a much wiser and better king than you." "Whew, ouch." "Oh, cease your tiresome chatter," commanded the king, getting angry again, "because you are my chief steward, and you have an idea to scold me as much as you please. But the next time you become impudent, I will send you to work in the furnaces, and get another gnome to fill your place. Now, follow me into my chamber, for I'm going to bed, and see that I am awakened early tomorrow morning. I want to enjoy the fun of transforming the rest of these people into ornaments." "What color will you make the Kansas girl?" asked the steward. "Gray, I think," said his majesty. "And the scarecrow and the machine?" "Oh, they shall be of solid gold, because they are so ugly in real life." Then the voices died away, and Bellina knew the king and his steward had left the room. She fixed up some of her tail feathers that were not straight, and then tucked her head under her wing again and went to sleep. In the morning, Dorothy and the lion and the tiger were given their breakfast in their rooms, and afterwards joined the king in his throne room. The tiger complained bitterly that he was half-starved, and begged to go into the palace and become an ornament, so that he would no longer suffer the pains of hunger. "Haven't you had your breakfast?" asked the Gnome King. "Oh, I had just a bite," replied the beast. "That could be the problem. But what good is a bite to a hungry tiger? He ate 17 bowls of porridge, a platter of fried full sausages, 11 loaves of bread, and 21 mince pies," said the steward. Oh, okay, so he was up to the task. "What more do you want?" demanded the king. "A fat baby. I want a fat baby," said the hungry tiger. "No, we've been through this, hungry tiger. Also, it's not going to help. A nice, plump, juicy, tender, fat baby. Of course, if I had one, my conscience would not allow me to eat it. So I'll have to become an ornament and forget my hunger." "Impossible!" exclaimed the king. "I'll have no clumsy beasts enter my palace to overturn and break all my pretty knick-knacks. When the rest of your friends are transformed, you can return to the upper world and go about your business."
"As for that, we have no business when our friends are gone," said the lion. "And we do not care much what becomes of us."
Dorothy begged to be first to go into the palace, but Tick-Tock firmly maintained that the slave should face danger before the mistress. The Scarecrow agreed with him in that, so the Gnome King opened the door for the machine man, who trampled into the palace to meet his fate. Then His Majesty returned to his throne and puffed his pipe so contentedly that a small cloud of smoke formed above his head. By and by, he said, "I'm sorry there are so few of you left. Very soon now, my fun will be over, and then for amusement I shall have nothing to do but admire my new ornaments."
"It seems to me," said Dorothy, "that you're not so honest as you pretend to be."
"Well, how's that?" asked the king.
"Why, you made us think it would be easy to guess what ornaments the people of Ev were changed into."
"It is easy," declared the monarch, if one is a good guesser. But it appears that the members of your party are all poor guessers. Poor guessers."
"What is TikTok doing now?"
asked the girl uneasily. "Nothing," replied the king with a frown. "He's standing perfectly still in the middle of a room."
"Oh, well, I expect he's run down," said Dorothy. "I forgot to wind him up this morning. How many guesses has he made?"
"All that he's allowed except for one," answered the king. "Suppose you go in and wind him up, and then you can stay there and make your own guesses."
"All right," said Dorothy.
"It is my turn next," declared the Scarecrow.
Why, you don't want to go away and leave me all alone, do you?" asked the girl. "Besides, if I go now, I can wind up TikTok, and he can make his last guess."
"Very well, then," said the Scarecrow with a sigh. "Run along, little Dorothy, and may good luck go with you." So Dorothy, trying to be brave in spite of her fears, passed through the doorway into one of the gorgeous rooms of the palace. The stillness of the place awed her at first, and the child drew short breaths and pressed her hand to her heart and looked all around with wandering eyes. Yes, it was a beautiful place, but enchantments lurked in every nook and corner, and she had not yet grown accustomed to the wizardries of these fairy countries, so different from the quiet and sensible commonplaces of her own native land. Slowly she passed through several rooms until she came upon TikTok, standing motionless. It really seemed then that she had found a friend in this mysterious palace. So she hastened to wind up the machine man's action and speech and thoughts. "Thank you, Dorothy," were his first words. "I have now one more guess to make."
"Oh, be very careful, TikTok, won't you?"
cried the girl. "Yes, but the Gnome King has us in his power, and he has set a trap for us. I fear we are lost," he answered.
"Well, I fear so too,"
said Dorothy sadly. "If Smith and Tinker had given me a guessing clockwork attachment," continued TikTok, "I might have defied the Gnome King. But my thoughts are plain and simple, and are not much use in this case."
"Well, do the best you can," said Dorothy encouragingly. "And if you fail, I'll watch and see what shape you are turned into."
So TikTok touched a yellow glass vase that had daisies painted on one side, and he spoke at the same time the word Ev. Ev. In a flash, the machine man had disappeared, and although the girl looked quickly in every direction, she could not tell which of the many ornaments the room contained had a moment before been her faithful friend and servant. So all she could do was accept the hopeless task set her, and make her guesses and abide by the result.
"It can't hurt very much," she thought, "for I haven't heard any of them scream or cry out, not even the poor officers. Oh, dear me, I wonder if Uncle Henry or Aunt Em will ever know I've become an ornament in the Gnome King's palace, and must stand forever in one place, and look pretty, except when I move to be dusted. It isn't the way I thought I'd turn out, but I suppose it can't be helped."
She walked through all the rooms once more, and examined with care all the objects they contained. But there were so many of them. They bewildered her, and she decided, after all, as Ozma had done, that it could only be guesswork at best, and the chances were much against her guessing all right. Timidly she touched an alabaster bowl and said,
"Ev, that's one failure anyhow," she thought. "But how am I supposed to know which thing is enchanted and which is not?"
She touched the next image of a purple kitten that stood in the corner of the mantel, and as she pronounced the word
"Ev,"
the kitten disappeared, and a pretty fair-haired boy stood beside her. At the same time, a bell rang somewhere in the distance, and as Dorothy stared back, partly in surprise and partly in joy, the little one exclaimed,
"Where am I? Who are you? What has happened to me?" "Well, I declare," said Dorothy, "I've really done it." "Done what?" asked the boy. "Will save myself from becoming an ornament," replied the girl with a laugh, "and save you from becoming forever a purple kitten."
"A purple kitten?" he repeated. "There is no such thing."
"I know," she answered. "There was, a minute ago. Don't you remember standing in the corner of the mantel?"
"Of course not. I'm the Prince of Ev, and my name is Evring," the little one announced proudly. "But my father the king sold my mother and all her children to the cruel ruler of the gnomes, and after that I remembered nothing at all."
"A purple kitten can't be expected to remember everything, Evering," said Dorothy. "But now you are yourself again, and I'm going to try to save some of your brothers and sisters, and, well, perhaps your mother as well. So come with me."
She seized the child's hand and eagerly hurried there, trying to decide which object to choose next. The third guess was another failure. And so was the fourth, and the fifth. Little Evering could not imagine what she was doing, but he trotted along beside her very willingly, for he liked the new companion he had found. Dorothy's further quest proved unsuccessful, but after her first disappointment was over, but the little girl was filled with joy and thankfulness to think that she could restore the little prince to his sorrowing country. That after all she had been able to save one member of the royal family of Ev, and could restore the little prince to his sorrowing country. She might return to the terrible Gnome King in safety, carrying with her the prize she had won in person of the fair-headed boy. So she retraced her steps until she found the entrance to the palace, and as she approached, the massive doors of the rock opened upon their own accord, allowing both Dorothy and Evering to pass through the portals and enter into the throne room.